Good morning from Da Nang, Vietnam's largest beach town. So you probably know that there are lots of videos out there about this place. So why did I have to do another one? Why should you watch it? Because I think that none of these videos really gives a correct picture of this city. Most of them are overly positive, overhyping everything, and there are a few who are too negative. When I came here after watching many of these videos, I found that my expectations were not correct. So this place is different from what I expected. And yeah, in this video I'm at least trying to do it a little bit better. So first thing you need to know, Da Nang is separated into two parts. So there is this river in the middle, the part here, that's the western part. This is basically the town center. There you have the railway station, the airport and everything. And on the other side of the river, yeah, I need to say there are basically almost no tourists there. The tourists are on the other side of the river. This is a long strip of land between the river and the ocean. So the ocean is over there. It is about 1 kilometer wide and many kilometers long. So this city is huge. Also, it doesn't have that many inhabitants. So it's got, I think, 800,000. So it's really tiny when compared to Saigon or Hanoi. But it looks much larger, and it is the extents of the city are really large. So you cannot just walk the city. So you should either take a motorbike, or what I did, I rented this bicycle, and now I'm going to explore and show you the things that I find important. I will start in the north and then slowly go along the tourist part in southern direction. So that's the rough plan, but let's see. This riverside promenade seems to be one of the few places where you can cycle without having to take care all the time about the cars and motorcycles. Normally you have to cycle on the road, of course, which, I mean, it's no big deal. It's not as dangerous as you might think, but I have to say it's not really fun. This is the main shopping street in the less touristy center of town. As you can see, you cannot really call this an old town. I think I've already mentioned that the city doesn't really have something like an old town. So, nothing special about it. There is actually something that at least looks like an historical building, a church, but I have no idea how old it is. Might be that it's only a few years old. Let's see if we can find out. Seems like you cannot enter the church, at least as a tourist, and at least right now Seems like you cannot enter the church as a tourist, at least not right now. There was a sign at the door, no traveler entry. Okay. Going back to the river where I parked my bike, and then I'm gonna head north to the northernmost part of the city. This riverside promenade is really a great option for cycling without traffic, well, at least almost without traffic. And now we are passing what seems to be the commercial center of Da Nang. It's getting really quiet here as we get north, except for some construction work. And here's another bridge across the river, which I am going to cross later. Here we are in the northern part of Da Nang. This is a place that few tourists know, I think. I mean, there are also some hotels, but it is not the glamorous stuff that you can see at the main beach. But there actually is another beach here, which is completely separate from the main tourist beach. So let's have a look. Danger! No lifeguard on duty. Do not swim. And this is the relatively unknown northern beach. It is separated from the main beach, which is over there in the east. It is separated by the river and by these mountains you can see here. That is the peninsula of Srafood. So it is obviously not as clean as the main beach. The nice thing here is that you can see these mountains. That is the mountain range that separates the northern part of Vietnam from the southern part. So we are here in the northernmost part, so to say, of southern Vietnam. But actually it is central Vietnam. Okay. It looks like there are some new resorts being built over there. Maybe they are planning to make this a tourist region as well. Okay, so I don't think it makes sense to go over there. What I'm gonna do now is to cross the bridge over the river and then go to Srafood. So I don't have the time to really walk on top of these mountains, but I will tell you a little bit about it. We have been there a few days ago. It's an interesting place. I'm about to cross the bridge over the river again, this time the large bridge. But before, I'd like to show you this building, or this complex here. It is called the Da Nang Software Park 2 and looks like it's still under construction. Wondering how it will develop in the age of artificial intelligence. But let's go. Fortunately, there is this sidewalk, so I don't need to drive on the road with my bicycle. Nice view of the skyline of Da Nang from the bridge. Tourist part on the left side with all of these huge hotels and the actual center to the right. Tra Peninsula over there, and that's where I'm going. This part of the city is also called Tra, just like the peninsula, and it's supposed to be one of the better living quarters. It is also a place where some expats, at least the expats who have more money, like to live. And you can choose between an apartment in one of these smaller houses or maybe one of these huge apartment complexes. And I tell you, most Vietnamese people like to live in places like that. And the higher up, the better. One reason is that the air quality is better at the higher levels. At least that's what they think. Most European, of course, would hate to live in such a place. But the view is amazing. Here we got a part of the harbor. That's the part with the smaller boats. I'm not sure what exactly they are, but I assume they are fishing boats. This is the beginning of the Tra hiking trail, featuring some goats. So during the past few days I've been wondering if I should do the full tour, but then I decided not to, because you have to go up 800 meters and the total length is 12 kilometers. And I decided it will probably not be that much of a fun with these temperatures. Another thing is that there are some nasty bugs here, at least in some places. So today I'm just gonna go up to the first landmark on this trail, which actually isn't a trail, it's a street, at least in this part. What we have here is real jungle, and you can also see different types of monkeys on Tra. But when you're going the hiking trail, you have to be lucky to see them. If you want to make it a little bit easier, you can take a ride to, I don't know the name, there is a temple, a pagoda, and a huge Buddha statue. You can go there and you will definitely see some monkeys. Can you hear how loud these cicadas are? So we've been there a few days ago, and maybe I can add some pictures. to this video of the monkeys.
가득 빠졌어.
빼서 먹을 게 없으니까 자꾸 막 뺏느라 그래.
This must be the place I wanted to visit. It's a bit underwhelming, so it's called the Good Round Rock. But I mean, it's maybe 2 meters high, but I think we can have at least a nice view of Da Nang and its skyline. Well, mostly the harbor, but also a big part of the city. I wanted to go into this side trail to give you some more jungle vibes, but unfortunately this is a prohibited area for whatever reason. Keep out. Okay, I think I'll go back, and it was a good decision not to hike the whole trail, especially when the sun is shining. That won't be fun. Probably in January, February would be a good time, but the thing is, there are basically two possibilities. Either it is rainy and misty, so you don't have a great view and you might get wet, or the sun is shining and it's just too hot. Still in Santra district, and I said it is one of the best living quarters, and yes, you get some of these really nice modern houses, but when you look around, what you see is construction sites, junkyards, old houses. Maybe it's gonna change sometimes. This is Santra Beach, the northernmost part of the main beach, and as you can probably see, it is not the cleanest part. But it extends all the way down there to the center, where you can see these huge hotel buildings, and even further until maybe the region of Hoi An. So this beach is about 40 kilometers long, and the closer you get to the center, the cleaner it gets, and also the more touristy and developed it gets. I'm not sure if you can see that, but the highest ones are still under construction. So this place is still highly developing. And I'm not really sure if this is a good thing, because it already can get quite crowded. Once again, nice apartment building with beach view, but right next to it there is some kind of garbage heap. But that's Da Nang. This is an interesting building here. I looked it up, and it is a exhibition hall with a special topic. And here you can see what this topic is. Hoang Sa Paracel Islands is Vietnam's territory. You know, these are the islands that are disputed between China and Vietnam. They are a few hundred kilometers this way. And yeah, probably it is true that they like more belong to Vietnam than to China, just geographically and historically. This is where the tourist zone begins, kind of, as you can see. And also the beach should be much cleaner and also broader here. Let's see if we can go to the beach. I mean, it's still not the same as in the center, but just have a look. By the way, this is the hotel where we stayed the first 3 nights when I was still traveling with my kids who have gone back to Germany by now. It's a nice place, really good. And also it is a 16-story building. It looks a little bit lost in between the much higher building on both sides. I'm getting a bit hungry, so I think I'm gonna grab a banh mi or something like that. But let's talk a little bit about the food in Da Nang. You have a huge variety of food you can select from. Not only Vietnamese specialties, but also Korean food, Turkish food, whatever. Even food from Uzbekistan. You can get pizza, you can get basically everything. So the tourists here are really international. You see, of course, European and US travelers. You also see lots of people from India. That was a little bit surprising for me. But I would say that the majority of tourists in this place are Korean. And when you look at the restaurant and shop description, in some places you see more Korean script than Vietnamese. So what about the food? Yeah, as I said, you get everything, but the prices are significantly higher than in other places in Vietnam where we have stayed, including Hanoi and also Saigon, where I've been 2 years ago. So in Hanoi, for example, you pay 30,000 dong for a standard banh mi, and here you pay more like 45, which is still really cheap when compared to Europe, but for Vietnamese circumstances it is expensive. And the seafood, of course, especially when you eat things like lobster, can get really expensive. Some absolutely incredible seafood places here. They got everything. Lots of fish that I have never seen before. Look at that. Here's another one. Not saying that these animals are having a good time, but probably that's not the point. It goes on over there. As I said, Vietnamese Pizza Festival 2026. Well, it is not time to eat pizza right now. And yeah, when you look here, this is one example. I think these are currently the highest buildings in this city, and you can see they are under construction. Now we are really getting into the center, or at least the tourist center, and maybe you can understand why it is a little bit comparable to Miami with all these palm trees, the big hotel buildings, the ocean. Beautiful beach promenade, but of course you also have the inevitable construction work. And this is finally the main entrance of Da Nang Beach. Looks much nicer here, and it is clean. So no plastic waste and so on. Here you can see Da Nang Beach. Let's have a closer look at the central beach. Not so much happening right now because it's lunchtime, and of course no Asian would ever go to the beach at lunchtime. At least almost no Asian. This is really unique and amazing. So there are few cities in the world having that kind of beach. I think I'm going to show you some clips I recorded yesterday evening when it was much more happening. Definitely haven't seen the beach that crowded during the past few days. Really must be because of the holiday. And you can see, well, not sure if you can see, but most of the people are locals. At this point, let me explain the difference between my expectation about Da Nang and my experience. So my expectation was mainly that of a relatively chill place where many expats live and have a relatively quiet place, not so crazy like Hanoi or Saigon, and this I would say is not the case. This is a relatively quiet alley. Well, quiet is relative, but when you walk through the streets in the evening, it is very crowded and extremely touristy. So my expectation was more that Da Nang was a city with some tourism, but actually what it is that the whole city is based on tourism. So it's a tourist town with a city attached to it. At least. Maybe a bit exaggerated, but that is my experience. I'm not saying that it's necessarily a bad thing, but it is not exactly what I expected. But hey, it's always good to get surprised. Let me say a word about the long-time staying foreigners in Da Nang, expats, whatever. I'm not really sure about the expats or digital nomads which are actually working here. I have met some people who were retired, and retiring in Da Nang probably is not really a glamorous thing. So my impression was that many of these people are alcoholics, and they hang around in bars or in front of little shops, drinking beer and smoking cigarettes. I mean, I hate generalizations, but that was really my main impression. And I've heard that some Vietnamese people also call these guys losers in their own country. So they didn't make it in their own country, so they come here because it's cheap. Looks like school is over. So what else do I need to say? So my main issue with Da Nang really is the amount of construction everywhere. For one, it is noisy, it is dirty, so there is often sand and construction materials on the roads and on the sidewalks, which are actually not sidewalks but motorbike parking lots, but that's normal in Vietnam. That's what you have to expect, and you get used to it. But it makes most places really dirty and difficult to walk. That's one thing. The other thing is that I am quite sure that considering the amount of construction, it will get even more crowded, the quality will get lower, and maybe less people will come to Da Nang, or at least they won't be so satisfied. At the moment, I think it's still halfway okay, but I fear that in the future this will not come to a good end. But let's hope for the best. See you next time. Bye bye. Finally found a banh mi place. 60,000 dong for a medium-sized chicken banh mi, which is expensive for Vietnamese circumstances, but it's a good one.